Chapter 2. The Foundation: Encryption and P2P File Sharing. The blockchain is the secret behind Bitcoin, and blockchains would not exist without encryption, a technology that originated with the creation of simple symbol codes thousands of years ago. Much like the type of message encoding first utilized in ancient Egypt and later adapted for use in submarines during the Second World War, Bitcoin is based on ciphers. While the methodology has advanced, the concept behind ciphers has not changed from that used in communications throughout history. That is, defining a set of rules, the key, on how to convert certain characters in an alphabet into code, encoding. The encoded message can then be sent to another party without any intermediary understanding its contents. The other party then uses the key to convert the message back to its original format, decoding. While cryptography was traditionally an activity primarily conducted by government organizations, in the 1970s, private individuals started taking more and more interest for the sake of protecting personal privacy from intrusion. The US government was not happy about the development of personal cryptography, and its export was severely restricted until 1992, with laws gradually relaxed bit by bit until 2000, although some export controls do continue to exist to this day. The US also tried to limit the maximum level of encryption that could be exported to 40 bits, causing Netscape to have two versions of their browser, a poorly encrypted international version and a US version with a more robust 1024-bit encryption. As personal cryptography developed, a group of mathematicians, computer scientists, and programmers based in Silicon Valley created the cypherpunk mailing list in 1992, which facilitated the exchange of cryptographic ideas between experts and aided the further development of cryptography for personal use. The cypherpunk movement drove the invention of PGP encryption and enhanced the development of public key cryptography. It was public key cryptography that was the fundamental ingredient for the eventual invention of Bitcoin. Also referred to as asymmetric, the basis of public key cryptography is the creation of a pair of keys that aren't identical, they're asymmetric. The keys are essentially numbers that are both the factors of one very large random number that is inputted into a key-generating algorithm. Once the keys are calculated, a message encrypted with one key can be decrypted using the other key and vice versa. Thus, if one key is denoted as the private key and kept secret, and the other key is denoted as the public key and freely distributed, it's possible to conduct secure communications. This is the basis of PGP, an encryption method used by journalists and dissidents worldwide. A message encrypted using someone's public key, which should be public knowledge, can only be decrypted by the person possessing the corresponding private key, which should be kept secret. Likewise, a message encrypted using someone's private key can only be decrypted using the corresponding public key. Thus, if one is able to decrypt a message using someone's public key, this proves that the message could only have been encrypted by the person possessing the corresponding private key, therefore acting as a kind of signature for that message. As long as the owner of that private key keeps the private key secret, it's impossible for anyone else to sign a message that can be decrypted using the corresponding public key. For Bitcoin to function as a currency, this signature plays an important role. Let's revisit the previous analogy of money as a form of communication, conveying information that proves the owner has performed a service and been compensated for it. When someone sends a Bitcoin over the network, they broadcast a transaction message encrypted with the private key from their wallet to the nearest node, a server that maintains the network. The message content details the amount of the transaction and the Bitcoin address of the receiver of the transaction. Because the message has been encrypted by the sender with their private key, the network can recognize that the transaction was initiated by the controller of the private key, as it can be decrypted using the corresponding public key. As you discover for Bitcoin, the public key acts like an email address in that if you want people to send Bitcoin to you, they need to input the Bitcoin address derived from your public key as the destination for the payment. The private key acts like your email password in that you can't send any money unless you authenticate the transaction with the private key. However, be aware that while this email analogy helps comprehension, it is not 100% accurate, as the keys are actually just encoding and decoding messages. One last point on key pairs that's critical to understanding is the uniqueness of each pair. This is because the random number used to generate the keys is selected from a massive number space. Take this hex 58 format private key as an example. 5 KPN88ZEQ94ZVUY67YJXPN2A67YJXPN2A671JXPN2A6DLFZGSTVH. Converted to a decimal, it becomes 93,541,068,888,926,018,818,724,990,844,985,859,940,779, 940,779, 646, 536, 561, 528, 000, 476, 090, 772. If you don't know what to call this number, you're not alone. It's called a quindecillion. The security of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies comes from the difficulty of guessing numbers of this magnitude. You have a much better chance of winning the lottery because there are more possible private keys than there are grains of sand on Earth. In fact, there are 26 billion possible private keys for each grain of sand on Earth. The second major breakthrough that had to happen before cryptocurrency could be invented was peer-to-peer file sharing. Spearheaded by Napster, the centrally managed file sharing service, the illegal sharing of files became widespread in the early 2000s. After Napster was shut down by lawsuits in 2001, it was soon replaced by decentralized versions like BitTorrent in 2002 that facilitated the peer-to-peer sharing of data files without any centralized point of failure maintaining the network. BitTorrent allows hosts to share specific files on their computer with the network by breaking the file up into small pieces, then creating torrent files or magnetic links that direct other users to the computers hosting the pieces of whatever file they want to download. The file is then reassembled on the downloader's computer after all the pieces have been acquired from various different sources. This technology made it possible to constantly synchronize a database between multiple computers on a distributed network. As mentioned earlier, the backbone for Bitcoin and many other Bitcoin-based cryptocurrencies is the blockchain, which is essentially a distributed ledger that records all the transactions that have ever occurred for every coin on the network. The database is always being updated in real time as new blocks are created. Note that it wasn't just the technology of file sharing that left an impact. File sharing also set an important cultural precedent that proved the invincibility of revolutions empowered by the internet. Once the sharing of movies became so widespread, try as they might, governments were unable to combat people's desire for convenience because the movement was just too big. Eventually, after losing billions in sales, the movie distribution industry had to evolve, and new innovations like Netflix and Amazon Prime were born that delivered what consumers desired in a more convenient format and at a more palatable price point. Likewise, cryptocurrencies will cause a similar revolution in the financial sector. Next episode of WTF is Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency and blockchain guide for dinner parties. We'll be reading Chapter 3, The Anatomy of Bitcoin, and we'll focus on how blockchain technology actually works at the transaction level and what makes it so revolutionary. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't hesitate to like, comment, subscribe, and share this podcast with anyone you think will enjoy it. It really helps us reach a much larger audience.